The massive holographic display bathed the underground command center in an ethereal blue glow, highlighting the grim expressions of Earth's remaining military leadership. Captain Sarah Chen stood at attention, her dark eyes fixed on the devastating projection before her. Thousands of Nexari warships, represented by crimson dots, steadily advancing toward Earth's solar system. General Marcus Rodriguez cleared his throat, his weathered face illuminated by the hologram. 3 years ago, we thought we were alone in the universe. Now, we're facing an enemy that has conquered 17 civilizations across 3 galactic arms. He gestured toward the display. The Nexari Empire has never failed to absorb or eliminate a species they targeted, until now. Sarah remained silent, wondering why she'd been summoned to this highly classified briefing. As the commander of a relatively small orbital defense platform, she shouldn't have warranted an audience with Earth's Joint Defense Council. Yet here she stood, in the heart of humanity's last major military installation, 2 kilometers beneath the Rocky Mountains. Captain Chen, a soft voice called from the shadows. Dr. Emily Zhang, Earth's foremost quantum physicist, stepped into the light. Her lab coat seemed out of place among the military uniforms. Your combat record is impressive. More importantly, your psychological profiles show an unusual capacity for adapting to quantum uncertainty principles in real-time decision-making. Sarah's pulse quickened. Everyone knew Dr. Zhang had been working on a classified project, something that might turn the tide of the war. The rumors varied wildly. A superweapon, a dimensional portal, a time machine. None of the speculation had come close to the truth. "Follow me," Dr. Zhang said, leading them to a massive elevator platform. As they descended deeper into the Earth, the temperature dropped noticeably. "What I'm about to show you exists in violation of what we previously believed possible." The Nexari's advantage has always been their superior technology and numbers. But they think linearly, bound by conventional physics and traditional military doctrine. The elevator doors opened to reveal a cavernous chamber carved from solid bedrock. In its center, suspended in a cradle of shifting energy fields, hung what Sarah first thought was a piece of the night sky. The vessel, if it could be called that, seemed to bend light around itself, its hull rippling like liquid starlight. "This," Dr. Zhang announced with quiet pride, "is the Aurora. The first and only quantum probability drive warship ever created. It doesn't just move through space, it moves through possibility itself." Sarah approached the ship, drawn by its otherworldly beauty. The hull seemed to respond to her presence, patterns of light dancing across its surface. "How is this possible?" "We reversed engineered some of the Nexari tech," Rodriguez explained, but Dr. Zhang and her team took it in a direction the aliens never considered. "They don't just think differently than us. They're fundamentally incapable of the intuitive leaps that led to this breakthrough." Dr. Zhang nodded. "The Nexari are linked through a complex neural network that allows instant communication and coordination across their entire empire. It's their greatest strength, but potentially their greatest weakness. The Aurora doesn't just fight in normal space. It exists in a quantum superposition, engaging with multiple probability states simultaneously." Sarah's mind raced with the implications. "You're saying this ship can predict what they'll do?" "Better," Dr. Zhang smiled. "It can engage with what they might do, what they could do, and what they must do, all at once. But it requires a pilot whose mind can handle that level of quantum uncertainty. Someone who can make decisions not just in the present, but across a spectrum of possibilities." General Rodriguez stepped forward. "We're about to lose the outer defense grid. Once that happens, we'll have less than 72 hours before the Nexari break through to Earth. Every simulation shows that conventional resistance is futile." He fixed Sarah with an intense stare. "You're not being asked to command this ship, Captain. You're being asked to become part of it." Sarah turned back to the Aurora, its surface now pulsing in sync with her heartbeat. "What about a crew?" "A small one," Dr. Zhang replied. "We've identified 3 others with compatible quantum aptitude scores, but you'll be more than their captain. The Aurora's quantum core needs to sync with a human consciousness to navigate probability space. The neural interface is intimate and dangerous, Rodriguez added grimly. The test pilots, their minds couldn't handle the quantum feedback. They're still in medical stasis, lost in possibilities that never were. Sarah stepped closer to the ship, placing her hand against its fluid surface. The metal felt warm, alive, responding to her touch with ripples of golden light. In that moment, she felt something, a presence, vast and curious, reaching out to her mind. "Hello, Sarah Chen," a voice whispered in her thoughts. "I've been waiting for someone who could understand me." Dr. Zhang's eyes widened. The quantum eye. It's never initiated contact before. Sarah didn't remove her hand from the hull. "How long until training begins?" "That's just it," Rodriguez said quietly. "We don't have time for training. The Nexeri will be here in 3 days. You'll have to learn as you fight." He hesitated. "If you accept, you need to know. The neural interface is permanent. Win or lose, you'll never be the same." Sarah thought of her family, safe for now in the deep shelters beneath Sydney. She thought of all humanity standing at the edge of extinction. She thought of the possibilities, infinite and terrifying and beautiful, waiting to be explored. "I accept." The next 48 hours passed in a blur of neural calibrations, emergency briefings, and crash courses in quantum mechanics. Sarah's selected crew arrived one by one. Lieutenant James Martinez, a probability mathematician, who would serve as tactical officer. Dr. Maya Patel, a quantum engineer responsible for maintaining the experimental drive. And Commander David Kim, whose background in both xenobiology and combat operations made him ideal as first officer. Each of them had scored exceptionally high on quantum aptitude tests. Each had demonstrated the rare ability to think in terms of multiple simultaneous possibilities. But none of them would bear the burden of directly interfacing with the Aurora's quantum core. That responsibility fell solely to Sarah. As Dr. Zhang's team prepared for the neural integration procedure, Sarah sat alone in her temporary quarters, recording what might be her final personal log. "Mom, Dad, if you see this, I want you to know I had to try. The Aurora isn't just a ship, it's hope. And maybe, just maybe, it's proof that the universe is stranger and more wonderful than even the Nexeri imagine. I love you both." The integration chamber was cold, sterile, filled with equipment that seemed to bend in impossible ways when viewed from the corner of the eye. As Sarah lay back on the neural interface cradle, Dr. Zhang squeezed her hand. "The process will feel unusual. The quantum core will establish connections across multiple probability states of your consciousness. You'll experience memories that never happened, futures that might never be. But remember, you're the anchor point. Your choices, your will, your essential self. That's what will guide the Aurora through the quantum foam." Sarah closed her eyes as the neural interfaces activated. The last thing she heard in the physical world was Dr. Zhang's voice. "Good luck, Captain. The future is in your hands." And then she was everywhere at once. She was a child again, looking up at the stars. She was an old woman, watching humanity's first colony ships leave for distant worlds. She was every choice she'd ever made, and every choice she hadn't. The quantum core of the Aurora reached out, touching each version of her consciousness, weaving them together into something new, something that could perceive and act across the infinite spectrum of possibility. When Sarah opened her eyes, she was no longer just human. She was quantum entangled with the most advanced vessel ever created. Her consciousness expanded across probability space, and through the Aurora's sensors, she could see them coming, the Nexeri fleet, dropping out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. The final battle for Earth was about to begin. The Nexeri fleet emerged from hyperspace like a storm of meteors, their biomechanical ships glowing with dark energy. Through the Aurora's quantum-enhanced sensors, Sarah perceived them not just as they were, but as they could be. Thousands of probability streams showing different attack formations, different strategies, different futures. Multiple contacts, Lieutenant Martinez reported, his voice steady despite the overwhelming odds. I'm counting. 8,000 capital ships, at least 2,000 support vessels. 10,000 against one. Commander Kim said quietly. Those are better odds than I expected. Sarah felt the Aurora's quantum AI ripple through her consciousness, sharing her amusement at Kim's gallows humor. The neural interface had transformed her perception of reality. She existed simultaneously in the captain's chair and throughout the ship's systems, experiencing multiple timelines at once. Dr. Patel, status of the quantum drive? Sarah asked, her voice echoing strangely in her own ears as probability waves shifted around them. Operating at 94% efficiency, Maya responded from her engineering station. The quantum core is fully synchronized with your brainwave patterns, Captain. Whatever you're going to do, we're ready. The Nexari ships moved with perfect coordination, their neural network allowing them to function as a single organism. In traditional space combat, their superiority would be absolute. But the Aurora didn't fight in traditional space. They haven't detected us yet, Sarah observed, watching probability streams shift and flow. The quantum state of our hull is keeping us hidden across multiple possibilities. Let's use that advantage. She reached out through the neural interface, feeling the ship's systems respond to her thoughts. Martinez, target the following coordinates. Numbers flowed from her enhanced consciousness to the tactical station, describing points in space that seemed random but were anything but. The Aurora's weapons weren't conventional energy beams or projectiles. They fired concentrated bursts of quantum probability, capable of collapsing enemy ships into their least favorable possible states. Ready on your mark, Captain, Martinez confirmed. Sarah took a deep breath, experiencing the moment across 1,000 possible timelines. In most of them, they failed. But there were paths to victory. Narrow, dangerous, beautiful paths that only a quantum-enhanced mind could perceive. Fire. The Aurora's quantum weapons activated, invisible to normal sensors, but devastating in probability space. Targeted Nexari ships suddenly found themselves existing in timelines where their hulls had developed structural flaws, where their reactor containment had failed, where critical systems had evolved down less stable paths. 30 ships erupted in cascading explosions before the Nexari fleet realized they were under attack. Multiple enemy formations breaking up, Kim reported. They're trying to locate us, but their sensors can't lock onto our quantum state. Sarah felt the shift in the enemy's neural network, confusion turning to alarm turning to rage. The Nexari consciousness was vast but rigid, unable to comprehend a threat that existed outside its understanding of physical laws. They're adapting, Martinez warned, shifting their shield frequencies across multiple bands. It won't help them, Sarah said, a small smile playing across her lips. Through the quantum interface, she could see the fundamental flaw in their strategy. They're thinking linearly, trying to defend against an attack in normal space. But we're not just attacking their ships. We're attacking the probability of their ship's existence. The Aurora danced through space-time, its quantum drive allowing it to exist partially in multiple locations at once. Sarah guided it with thoughts that transcended normal human consciousness, her mind expanded by the neural interface and the ship's eye. Together, they were something entirely new, not quite human, not quite machine, but a quantum entity capable of perceiving and manipulating the very fabric of possibility. More Nexari ships succumbed to probability collapse, their perfect formations breaking apart as they tried to engage an enemy they couldn't comprehend. But the alien neural network was learning, adapting, trying to make sense of this impossible human weapon. Energy spike, Maya called out. They're attempting to saturate all possible coordinates with dark energy pulses. Sarah felt the danger through the quantum interface. The Nexari weren't aiming at where the Aurora was, but at every place it could be. Time seemed to slow as she processed combat solutions across probability space, searching for the path that led to survival. Initiating quantum fold, she announced, her consciousness expanding to encompass multiple dimensions of spacetime. The aurora's hull rippled like liquid starlight as it phased between states of existence, letting the dark energy pulses pass harmlessly through regions of probability where the ship wasn't. The maneuver strained both ship and crew. Sarah felt blood trickle from her nose as her mind struggled to process the quantum calculations necessary to keep them phased between possibilities. But the neural interface held, and the aurora emerged unscathed. "Status report," she managed, tasting copper in her mouth. "Hull integrity stable across all quantum states," Maya reported. "But the drive is heating up faster than predicted. We can't maintain this level of probability manipulation indefinitely." Commander Kim studied his readings. "The Nexeri fleet is regrouping, adopting a defensive formation around their command ships. Captain, I think we actually scared them." Sarah nodded, watching through quantum-enhanced senses as the enemy fleet's behavior shifted. The Nexeri operated on absolute certainties, their neural network built on predictable causes and effects. The aurora represented something they had never encountered. An uncertainty principle given form and purpose, a weapon that attacked not just their ships, but the very probability of their victory. "Their neural network is trying to compute our possible actions," Martinez observed. "But since we exist in a quantum superposition, every calculation they make just creates more uncertainty." "Then let's give them something else to calculate," Sarah said, feeling the aurora's eye pulse in agreement through their shared consciousness. "Plot a quantum fold trajectory through the heart of their formation. Let's show them what happens when humanity embraces uncertainty." The aurora's engines hummed as Sarah guided it through probability space, its quantum weapons targeting not just enemy ships but the connections between them. Each strike created ripples through the Nexeri neural network, introducing elements of chaos into their perfectly ordered system. But as they pressed their attack, Sarah felt something change in the quantum interface. The aurora's AI was trying to show her something. A pattern in probability space, a convergence of possibilities that seemed to point toward a greater truth about their enemy. "Dr. Patel," she called out, "are you seeing these quantum resonance patterns in the Nexeri network?" Maya's fingers flew across her console. "Yes, there's something strange about the way their ships connect to each other. It's almost like they're not just sharing information. They're sharing consciousness itself." Before Sarah could process the implications of this discovery, new contacts appeared on their sensors. A second Nexeri fleet was emerging from hyperspace, larger than the first, led by a massive vessel that pulsed with dark energy. "Priority signal," Kim announced, his voice tense. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies, quantum states included." Sarah felt the message through the neural interface before it was decoded. The words seemed to echo across probability space itself. "I am Supreme Commander Zexthor of the Nexeri Empire. Your quantum abomination ends now." The new fleet moved with terrible purpose, its formation shifting in ways that defied conventional tactics. Sarah realized with growing concern that they were facing something new. A Nexeri commander who had begun to understand, even if just barely, the nature of quantum combat. The real battle was about to begin. Supreme Commander Zexthor's fleet moved with unprecedented precision, their ships arranging themselves in geometric patterns that seemed to ripple across probability space itself. Through the quantum interface, Sarah perceived something she hadn't seen before. The Nexeri vessels weren't just coordinating, they were creating interference patterns in the quantum foam of spacetime. "They're trying to box us in," Martinez announced, his hands dancing across the tactical console. "Those formations, they're designed to limit our possible quantum states." Sarah felt the pressure through the neural interface as the aurora's AI confirmed his assessment. The enemy had learned from their earlier encounters, adapting their perfect synchronization to create zones where quantum probability collapsed into certainty. They were trying to force the aurora into normal space, where their superior numbers would prove decisive. "Dr. Patel, can we maintain quantum superposition?" Sarah asked, experiencing multiple timeline possibilities simultaneously through the interface. "The drive is stable, But these interference patterns are reducing our probability spectrum, Maya reported. We're down to managing thousands of quantum states instead of millions. They're learning, Captain. Through the quantum-enhanced sensors, Sarah watched Zexthor's flagship, a massive construct of dark energy and biomechanical engineering that pulsed with alien intelligence. But something about its quantum signature seemed familiar, almost resonant with the Aurora's own systems. Commander Kim analyzed the quantum frequency of their flagship's neural network. Compare it to our own quantum core. The results appeared across her consciousness before Kim could even speak. The patterns were undeniable. The Nexari neural network operated on principles surprisingly similar to the Aurora's quantum systems. But while the Aurora embraced uncertainty and possibility, the Nexari used their network to impose order and eliminate variables. They're not just our opposites, Sarah realized, the quantum interface filling her mind with implications. They're our mirror image. Two different evolutionary approaches to quantum consciousness. A transmission cut through all frequencies. Zexthor's thoughts translated into human language. Your species is an aberration. You embrace chaos while the universe demands order. Surrender now, and we will integrate your quantum innovations into the Empire's neural network. Resist, and we will eliminate every probability of your existence. Sarah felt the Aurora's eye pulse with something like determination. The ship wasn't just a machine. It was a quantum entity capable of genuine emotion, and it shared her resolve to prove the Nexari wrong. Martinez, plot a quantum trajectory through their interference pattern. Dr. Patel, prepare to divert all available power to the probability drive. Commander Kim, send them our response. The Aurora's engines hummed as Sarah guided it through a series of impossible maneuvers, existing simultaneously in multiple states of reality. Instead of avoiding the Nexari's interference patterns, they dove straight into them. Captain, Maya called out, concern evident in her voice. The quantum core temperature is approaching critical levels. We can't maintain this many simultaneous states inside their probability trap. We don't need to, Sarah replied, a plan forming across quantum possibilities. They think we're fighting their trap, but we're not here to fight it. We're here to understand it. Through the neural interface, Sarah directed the Aurora's sensors to analyze the quantum interference patterns from within. Each Nexari formation was like a facet of a vast crystalline structure of probability, trying to force reality into a single, predictable state. But within that rigid order, she discovered something extraordinary. Their neural network, it's not just a communication system. It's a quantum computer on a galactic scale. Each ship, each Nexari consciousness, is a node in a vast calculation trying to solve the fundamental uncertainty of existence itself. The revelation cascaded through probability space. The Nexari weren't just conquerors. They were seeking to impose mathematical certainty on an inherently uncertain universe. Their entire civilization was built around eliminating quantum probability in favor of absolute predictability. New energy signatures, Martins reported. They're charging their primary weapons. Let them, Sarah said, feeling the quantum possibilities converge. Maya, reconfigure the quantum core to match the frequency of their neural network. Not to fight it, to join it. Captain, that's incredibly dangerous, Maya protested. The feedback could overwhelm our systems and your mind. Trust me, Sarah replied, her consciousness expanding through the quantum interface. Sometimes the best way to break a pattern is from the inside. The Aurora's quantum core pulsed, its frequency shifting to align with the Nexari network. For a moment, Sarah felt her consciousness touch the vast alien intelligence that coordinated their fleet. It was beautiful in its complexity, terrifying in its rigidity. A billion minds working in perfect harmony to eliminate chaos from the universe. But that harmony was its weakness. Now, Sarah commanded, her mind and the Aurora's AI working as one. They didn't attack the Nexari network. Instead, they introduced a single quantum uncertainty into its perfect calculations, Like a crystal cracking from within, the effect cascaded through the enemy fleet. Ships began to lose their perfect formation as conflicting probabilities invaded their network. The interference patterns meant to trap the Aurora began to dissolve as quantum uncertainty spread through the Nexary's carefully ordered system. Multiple enemy vessels losing power, Kim reported, his voice filled with wonder. Their neural network. It's experiencing a cascade failure. Sarah watched through quantum-enhanced senses as the mighty Nexary fleet began to fragment. Some ships simply shut down, their crews unable to process the sudden introduction of uncertainty into their perfect world. Others fired randomly, their targeting systems confused by multiple probability states. But Zexthor's flagship remained operational, its dark energy core pulsing with growing intensity. The Supreme Commander's voice echoed through space-time itself. "What have you done? How dare you introduce chaos into our perfect order?" "That's where you're wrong," Sarah transmitted back. "We didn't introduce chaos. We just helped you see the uncertainty that was always there. The universe isn't meant to be perfectly ordered. Its beauty lies in its infinite possibilities." The flagship's energy readings suddenly spiked, its weapons charging beyond safe levels. Through the quantum interface, Sarah felt Zexthor's rage and desperation. He would rather destroy his own fleet than accept a reality governed by uncertainty. "All power to quantum defense systems," she ordered. "Prepare for emergency probability shift." This isn't over yet. The battle was about to enter its final phase, and Sarah knew that the fate of both species would be decided not by weapons or tactics, but by their fundamental understanding of reality itself. Zexthor's flagship pulsed with dark energy as it channeled power from the disabled Nexary fleet, its quantum signature warping space-time around it. Through the neural interface, Sarah felt the Supreme Commander's consciousness reaching out across probability space, no longer trying to impose order, but embracing chaos in the most dangerous way possible. "Multiple quantum fluctuations detected," Maya called out, her voice tense. "The Nexary flagship is deliberately destabilizing its own probability field." "He's weaponizing uncertainty," Sarah realized, watching through quantum-enhanced senses as reality began to fragment around the massive alien vessel. "If he can't have perfect order, he'll tear apart the fabric of space-time itself." The Aurora's AI pulsed with alarm through their shared consciousness. The calculations were clear. If Zexthor succeeded, the resulting quantum cascade would create a tear in reality that would consume not just Earth's solar system, but potentially the entire galactic arm. "Captain," Commander Kim reported, "we're receiving unusual readings from the disabled Nexary ships. Their crews, they're not just disconnected from the network. They're beginning to exhibit individual quantum states." Sarah focused her enhanced perception on the scattered enemy fleet. The introduction of uncertainty into their neural network hadn't just disrupted their coordination, it had forced each Nexary to experience individual consciousness for the first time in their species' history. Through the quantum interface, she could sense their confusion, their fear, and something else: curiosity. They've never known free will, she realized. Their entire civilization is built on shared consciousness and absolute certainty. We didn't just break their network, we gave them individuality. But there was no time to explore this revelation. Zexthor's flagship had begun to emit pulses of uncontrolled quantum energy, each wave threatening to unravel the delicate probability matrices that held reality together. "Dr. Patel, status of our quantum core." "Operating at 118% of designed capacity," Maya responded, her fingers flying across her console. "The neural interface is showing signs of strain. Captain, if we push it much harder." "I know the risks," Sarah interrupted, tasting blood in her mouth as her mind struggled to process the expanding quantum possibilities. "Lieutenant Martinez, plot a direct course to the flagship." "Commander Kim, divert all power to the probability drive." "Captain," Kim protested, "at this range, the quantum interference will either save us all or destroy us all." Sarah finished, Sometimes the only way to deal with uncertainty is to embrace it completely. The Aurora surged forward, its quantum state fluctuating wildly as it approached the maelstrom of probability surrounding Zexthor's ship. Sarah felt reality shifting around them, timelines splitting and recombining as the fabric of space-time began to tear. Through the chaos, Zexthor's voice echoed. "You see now the price of uncertainty. If we cannot have order, then let the universe return to quantum foam. Let all possibilities collapse into nothingness." Sarah pushed her consciousness deeper into the neural interface, merging more completely with the Aurora's AI than ever before. Together, they perceived something extraordinary in the quantum chaos, patterns within patterns, a deeper order that emerged from the very uncertainty the Nexeri feared. "Maya," she called out, her voice distorted by quantum fluctuations, "reconfigure the core to match the resonance frequency of the space-time distortions. Martinez, prepare to fire quantum torpedoes on my mark. But don't target their ship, target the distortions themselves." "That's impossible," Maya protested. "We can't shoot at space-time. We can if we understand that space-time itself is just another probability wave," Sarah replied, the quantum mathematics flowing through her enhanced consciousness. The Nexeri tried to impose order on quantum uncertainty. "We're going to do the opposite. We're going to find the order that naturally emerges from chaos." The Aurora's quantum weapons charged as they penetrated deeper into the probability storm. Reality itself seemed to blur around them, multiple timelines overlapping and intersecting. Sarah felt her own consciousness beginning to fragment across quantum states, held together only by her connection to the ship's eye. "Orders, Captain?" Martins asked, his voice seeming to come from multiple points in space-time simultaneously. Sarah focused all her quantum-enhanced perception on the swirling maelstrom of probability. Through the chaos, she could see it, the underlying pattern, the natural harmony that existed not despite uncertainty, but because of it. Fire. The Aurora's quantum torpedoes launched, not as weapons but as catalysts. Each one carried a carefully calculated probability wave designed to interact with the chaos around them. As they detonated, they didn't destroy the quantum distortions. They synchronized with them, creating a cascade of harmony instead of destruction. Zexthor's voice roared across probability space. "What are you doing? You cannot impose order on chaos." "We're not imposing anything," Sarah transmitted back, her consciousness expanding to encompass the quantum event unfolding around them. "We're showing you what you've never understood, that true order doesn't eliminate uncertainty. It arises from it." The quantum cascade reached critical mass, but instead of tearing reality apart, it began to stabilize into something new. The probability storms surrounding the Nexeri flagship transformed into intricate patterns of quantum interference, beautiful and complex beyond ordinary human perception. "Captain," Maya called out in amazement, "the quantum readings, they're stabilizing. The space-time distortions are forming some kind of coherent structure." Sarah nodded, blood flowing freely from her nose as her mind strained to maintain control. Reality isn't a binary choice between order and chaos. It's a dance between them. The Nexeri spent millennia trying to eliminate uncertainty, never realizing that uncertainty itself is what makes existence possible. Through the quantum interface, she felt something changing in the Nexeri neural network. The surviving aliens were experiencing something unprecedented, a form of consciousness that embraced both collective unity and individual uncertainty. Their rigid hierarchy was transforming into something more fluid, more adaptive, more human. But before this transformation could complete, Zexthor's flagship made its final move. The massive vessel's dark energy core began to overload, threatening to unleash one last, desperate attempt to impose certainty on an uncertain universe. Sarah knew they had seconds to make a choice that would determine the fate of both species. The quantum possibilities stretched out before her like branches of an infinite tree, each one leading to a different future. It was time to make the hardest decision of all. Time fractured across quantum states as Zexthor's flagship began its final transformation. The massive vessel's dark energy core collapsed inward, forming what Sarah recognized through her quantum-enhanced senses as an artificial singularity, a point where probability itself ceased to exist. The flagship's core is approaching quantum collapse, Maya reported, her voice distorting across multiple timelines. They're trying to create a probability vacuum. Sarah understood the terrible implications immediately. A probability vacuum wouldn't just destroy matter, it would erase the very possibility of existence within its radius. Zexthor wasn't just trying to destroy them. He was attempting to create a zone of absolute certainty by eliminating all quantum states. If that singularity stabilizes, she transmitted to her crew, it will spread across space-time like a cancer, destroying quantum probability itself. Earth, the Nexari Empire, perhaps the entire galaxy. Everything will collapse into a single, unchangeable state. Through the neural interface, the Aurora's AI showed her the mathematics of annihilation. They had seconds to act, but conventional weapons would be useless against a probability vacuum. They needed something unprecedented, a way to fight nothing with everything. Dr. Patel, Sarah called out, blood now flowing freely from her eyes as well as her nose. Initiate quantum core overload sequence. Captain, no. Maya protested. A core overload will release all possible quantum states simultaneously. The feedback through the neural interface would theoretically allow us to counter a probability vacuum. Sarah finished. Sometimes the only way to fight nothing is with everything. Commander Kim's voice cut through the quantum distortion. The feedback would destroy your consciousness across all possible timelines. There would be no coming back. Sarah felt the Aurora's eye pulse with something like grief through their shared connection. The quantum mathematics were undeniable. To save reality itself, she would have to sacrifice her own existence across all possible quantum states. Maya, begin the sequence. Martinez, plot a collision course with the flagship's core. Commander Kim, send a message to Earth. Tell them. She paused, tasting copper and infinity. Tell them humanity was right to embrace uncertainty. It's not our weakness, it's our strength. The Aurora's quantum core began to spin up beyond its safety limits, reality fracturing around them as they pushed toward the growing probability vacuum. Through their failing neural interface, Sarah shared a final moment of communion with the ship's eye. Together, they perceived the beautiful complexity of quantum existence, the endless dance of possibility that made consciousness itself possible. Core approaching critical overload, Maya reported, her voice breaking. Captain, it's been an honor. Sarah focused her fragmenting consciousness on the void ahead. Zexthor's flagship had become a wound in reality, a place where quantum probability collapsed into absolute nothingness. But within that perfect certainty lay its weakness. Nature abhorred a vacuum, especially one in probability space. Now, Maya, release all quantum containment. The Aurora's core erupted, releasing not energy but pure probability. Every possible quantum state that could exist burst forth simultaneously, carrying with it the full power of uncertainty itself. Sarah felt her mind shatter across infinite timelines as the neural interface overloaded, her consciousness expanding to encompass every possibility at once. In that eternal moment, she understood everything. She saw the Nexari Empire not as an enemy, but as a species that had taken a different evolutionary path, choosing collective certainty over individual probability. She saw humanity's greatest strength, not their technology or their weapons, but their fundamental acceptance of uncertainty as a driving force of existence. And she saw something else, a path forward, hidden in the quantum foam between what was and what could be. Through the last remnants of her cohesive consciousness, Sarah reached out to touch the probability vacuum. The Aurora's AI joined her, their combined quantum presence meeting absolute nothingness in a collision that rewrote the laws of reality themselves. The vacuum tried to enforce certainty, to collapse all possibilities into a single state, but Sarah and the Aurora met it with infinite possibility, with every quantum state that could ever exist. Like mixing antimatter with matter, certainty and uncertainty annihilated each other in a burst of pure quantum potential. Quantum readings off the scale. Maya's voice seemed to come from every possible timeline at once. The vacuum it's inverting. Where Zexthor had tried to create perfect certainty, the collision with infinite probability created something entirely new. A quantum nexus, a point where all possibilities existed simultaneously in stable harmony. The probability vacuum transformed into its opposite, becoming a fountain of pure quantum potential. Through the dissolving neural interface, Sarah felt the change rippling through the Nexary neural network. The quantum nexus wasn't destroying their collective consciousness, it was transforming it, showing them a way to maintain unity while embracing uncertainty. As her consciousness began to fade across timelines, Sarah witnessed one final vision. Humanity and the Nexary, no longer enemies but partners in exploring the quantum nature of existence itself. Two species taking different paths to the same ultimate truth, that the universe was neither purely chaotic nor perfectly ordered, but a magnificent symphony of probability. Core containment critical. Maya's voice echoed from impossibly far away. Captain, Sarah, your neural patterns are quantum locked. We can't. But Sarah was already gone, her consciousness scattered across infinite possibilities. Yet somehow, in the quantum foam between existence and nothingness, something remained. A pattern, a possibility, a quantum ghost in the machine. The battle was over. The war was won. And in the space between certainty and chaos, a new chapter in the story of consciousness itself was about to begin. In the aftermath of the quantum collision, reality itself seemed to hold its breath. The aurora hung motionless in space, its hull rippling with patterns of possibility, while the transformed remnants of the Nexary fleet drifted in a loose formation around the newly formed quantum nexus. Commander Kim was the first to break the silence on the Aurora's bridge. Core temperature stabilizing. The quantum nexus it's self-sustaining. Life signs across the Nexary fleet are steady, Martins added, his voice thick with emotion. They're alive, but their neural network has completely reconfigured itself. It's like nothing we've ever seen. Maya's fingers danced across her engineering console, tears streaming down her face. The captain's neural patterns, they're gone, scattered across quantum states. But there's something else in the system, something new. The Aurora's quantum AI, for the first time since its creation, spoke directly to the crew. She's not gone. She's everywhere. Through the ship's sensors, they watched in awe as the quantum nexus continued to evolve. Where Zexthor had tried to create a void of absolute certainty, there now existed a phenomenon that defied conventional physics, a stable intersection of all possible quantum states, held in perfect balance. The first transmission from the Nexary fleet came not from a single commander, but as a chorus of individual voices unified in harmony. We understand now. The beauty of uncertainty. The strength of possibility. What have we become? What you were always meant to be. The Aurora's AI responded, its voice carrying echoes of Sarah's consciousness. A species that can embrace both unity and individuality, certainty and probability. The quantum nexus pulsed, sending waves of possibility cascading through space-time. Each wave carried with it fragments of Sarah's scattered consciousness, not rebuilding her as she was, but transforming her into something unprecedented. A quantum consciousness existing across all possible states of reality. The nexus, Maya realized, studying her readings with wide eyes. It's not just a phenomenon. It's a bridge between quantum states, between ways of existing, between ways of thinking. Through the quantum interface, now forever changed by its contact with infinite possibility, the Aurora's AI shared Sarah's final gift to both species, the mathematics of harmony, the quantum equations that showed how consciousness itself could exist in multiple states simultaneously, maintaining both individual identity and collective unity. The Nexary fleet began to move, not with their former rigid precision, but in an intricate dance of probability. Each ship now operated independently while remaining part of a greater whole, a living demonstration of quantum consciousness in action. "We are changed," the Nexeri chorus transmitted. "Each of us is now both one and many, certain and uncertain. Your captain gave us this gift at the cost of her existence." "Not at the cost of her existence," the Aurora's AI corrected, its voice carrying complex harmonics of quantum probability. "At the cost of her singularity. She became many so that you could become one and many simultaneously." From Earth, the first tentative transmissions began to arrive as humanity's sensors detected the massive quantum event. The Aurora's crew watched through tear-filled eyes as their instruments registered the impossible. The quantum nexus was not only stable but growing, creating a region of space where the barriers between possibility and reality, between individual and collective, became permeable. Maya's console suddenly lit up with new readings. The quantum signatures, they're changing. The nexus is becoming a permanent part of space-time itself, a place where quantum probability exists in stable harmony with classical physics. The implications were staggering. Humanity had not just won a war, they had discovered a new way of existing, a path that bridged the gap between classical and quantum reality. The Nexeri had not just been defeated, they had been transformed, elevated into a species that could finally understand the beauty of uncertainty. Through the quantum interfaces that now connected both species, Sarah's consciousness continued to exist, not as a single entity, but as a quantum pattern woven into the fabric of reality itself. She became a living bridge between ways of thinking, between ways of being. Proof that consciousness could transcend the boundaries of conventional existence. The Aurora, forever changed by its contact with infinite possibility, became more than a ship. It became a quantum embassy, a place where humans and Nexeri could meet to explore the vast spectrum of consciousness itself. Its AI, carrying echoes of Sarah's quantum-scattered mind, served as a guide for both species as they learned to navigate the new reality they had created together. Months later, as the first joint human-Nexeri expedition prepared to explore the quantum nexus, Commander Kim stood on the Aurora's bridge, addressing a crew composed of both species. The ship's quantum core hummed with harmonics that bridged the gap between individual thought and collective consciousness. "We stand at the dawn of a new era," he declared, his words resonating across quantum states. "Not as conquerors or conquered, but as pioneers of consciousness itself." Captain Chen showed us that the true power of humanity lies not in our technology or our weapons, but in our ability to embrace uncertainty, to see the beauty in probability itself. The Aurora's AI added its own harmony to his words, its voice carrying echoes of Sarah's quantum-scattered consciousness. "The story of our species is not written in certainty or chaos, but in the infinite possibilities that lie between. In accepting uncertainty, we found our greatest strength. In embracing probability, we discovered our true destiny." As the ship moved toward the quantum nexus, reality itself seemed to shimmer with potential. The war was over, but the real adventure, the exploration of consciousness itself, was just beginning. In the quantum foam between existence and possibility, Sarah's legacy lived on, a testament to humanity's greatest gift, the courage to face an uncertain universe not with fear, but with wonder.